还是2025年的10月13号，然后关于中国的一篇报道是关于宗教的，中国拘留多名地下教会成员，引发新一轮的宗教镇压担忧。就是这个文中他提到的是叫西安教会，但是我看这个 PPT，他这写的是基督徒的基本操练，所以其实我个人是不清楚说它究竟只是一个，就是西安教会它到底是什么教会，它是不是只是那种很普通的基督教，这个我不清楚。但是我看到的，因为就是他的女儿在旅居美国，然后可能就是有一些关系，所以当他的这个牧师爸爸被拘留之后，然后看到美国是前那个什么前副总统彭斯就是发文就是为他声援了。好了，那先来读一读这篇报道吧。China detains dozens of members of underground church. The authorities in China have detained the pastor of one of the country's most prominent underground churches, along with dozens of other people affiliated with his church, according to the pastor's family and members of the church, prompting worries about renewed crackdown on religion. The pastor Jin Ming Ri, who also goes by the name Ishtar, founded Beijing Jian Church in 2007. It grew into one of the country's largest unofficial congregations with several satellites composed and over 1,000 people attending its weekend service. Mr. Jin, 56, was detained on Friday at his home in the city of Beihai in Guangxi province, according to his daughter Grace Jin, who lives in the United States. Around the same time, nearly 30 other Jian church pastors or workers were taken into custody or went missing around the country, including the Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and other cities, she said. Calls to the Beihai police rang unanswered on Sunday. Ms. Jing said her family had not been able to reach her father, but that they had heard from other church members, some of whom were released after their initial detentions, that he was being accused of illegal dissemination of religious information. The Chinese Constitution guarantees freedom of religion, but in practice, the Chinese Communist Party permits only tightly controlled, state-approved congregations to operate openly. Still, it is estimated that tens of millions of Chinese Christians worship in underground churches, also called house churches. Under Chinese top leader Xi Jinping, persecution of those unofficial congregations has increased alongside a more general crackdown on religion in general, especially Islam. In 2018, a nationwide crackdown led to the closure of several prominent house churches, including Beijing Zion. The government regularly encourages ordinary Chinese to report unsanctioned religious gatherings, which it sometimes calls to the police. After 2018, Mr. Jin was subjected to frequent surveillance and harassment his daughter said, and forced to leave Beijing. He was also barred from leaving China to visit his family members, who left the country in 2018. Miss Jing, her mother, and her two younger brothers now live in the United States. But Miss Jing continued to lead Zion by commanding smaller, more scattered gatherings as well as sharing video or sermons online. Miss Jing said during the coronavirus pandemic, when many other churches stopped operating, Zion grew rapidly, drawing audiences of sometimes 10,000 people across the country on platforms including Zoom, YouTube, and WeChat, Ms. Jin said. In recent months, though, many at Zion began to worry that any crackdown was imminent. Surveillance on Ms. Jin seemed to have wrapped up. Ms. Jin said in September the government issued new regulations limited religious activity online to officially restrict channels. Mr. Jin had also suggested to the state security officers monitoring him that he might retire from Zion so that he could join his family, Ms. Jin said, but she said the officers refused to let him leave. After this kind of posturing, it seemed like something big was going to happen again, Ms. Jin said. We just didn't know when or to what extent, but I also feel like my dad is always the optimist. She added, he is sort of like where I can live in fear every day, so I'm just going to continue on with what I need to do. After news of Mr. Jin's arrest emerged, Mike Pence, the former vice president, called on the Chinese government to release him in a post on Twitter. Corey Johnson, the founder of Look Alliance, a US-based group that advocates for persecuted Christians in China, said that the detentions were without a doubt the biggest crackdown on Christianity in China since 2018. If this is the first move, then it could be far worse down the road, he said, but he also said he expected Chinese Christians to keep trying together. The Chinese church is probably stronger than the world leaders, maybe stronger than the Communist Party leaders, he said, and I think that's part of the problem the Communist Party is facing. Thanks for listening, and hope your lives full of happiness and joys.